it's obviously been a very big summer already for South African cricket. Lots going on. The test is less than a week away now. As captain, how settled do you feel things are? I mean, how good has the preparation be? I mean, it's what's happened in the past. Do you think that's out the system now for the players?
I think where we are as a cricket team and where we are as cricketers in South Africa, I think the most optimistic that we've been in a while. I think there was obviously a lot of challenges the last 6 months. Yes, we haven't played our best cricket as a team, but there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening off the field. And for me, that's the most promising thing where we are right now. Yes, we aren't as prepared as we would have liked to be as a test team. But I think right now what is more important is the things that changed in the last 2 weeks. I think cricketers in South Africa and also the public has got a lot of optimism about the team. Yes, obviously we'll always get judged on our performances and only time will tell. But for me it's really, really important where we are as a team and also cricket in South Africa is that we focused on getting the right people in the right places. And I feel that has happened. I feel we've got a very good coaching and management staff right now, which is something I've spoken a lot about especially in the test team when it comes to not having the experience that you need in the players. If you don't have the experience that you need in the players, you need to substitute the experience with your management, and I feel that we've done that very well. When we went to India, I felt it was very tough on Enoch just to go to that tour and almost be judged in India. It's even if you are the best coach, if you're the coach of the world, you'd struggle to go to India and do well. So that was a really tough gig on him. But I found what's exciting is how it's unfolded. We're keeping Enoch and what he's done and what he brings to the team, but we're also adding the experience. And I feel right now that's the most important thing that we needed as a team, is the experience in the group of players, but also the experience at the top in the leadership that has changed.
Faf, has it also helped? I mean, you've spoken about all the off-field stuff, and we know that often sporting teams, when they go through a time of adversity, it actually sort of bonds the team and actually galvanizes them. They do better. The players have really stood together really well through the players' union and that, and made their voice heard. Do you think that's also going to be a factor in making a stronger unit?
Yeah, I think it's really it's proven very strong, the culture in the team, that if you look at all the stuff that's been happening, you haven't seen any players' issues. You haven't seen players blaming anything. We as players take our performance on the chin, and we've remained strong throughout the mess that what it's been the last while. So now, yes, we've made sure that we stayed, or the team has made sure that they stayed separate. I felt that it was part of my responsibility to make sure that I don't be completely separate, because I also felt that there needed some changes to happen. The last 6 months has taken a lot more energy from me, possibly as a leader, than it would normally require. But it is something that I thought was important, and I couldn't not put energy into all the different areas that needed attention. So I feel now, with all this stuff in place, I can trust the system, you can trust the leadership groups, and just enjoy playing cricket. I think that's also important, is that you don't, maybe I did over burden myself a little bit with all the stuff that's been happening, but I felt that it was required of me. And now I've definitely felt the difference the last week. The conversations that I had with Jark Fall, with Graham Smith, Cullis, Boucher, even Enoch the last while, it's been very, very positive, very motivating for me to see that we're definitely going in the right direction.
What are the big aspects then, since you've all got together, that you've had to work on here? The major decision not to play the 4-day games. Briefly explain that,
Yeah.
and then what were the big issues that you felt that you needed to work on
Yes.
in this little period that you've got before?
Yes, in an ideal world, we would have definitely liked to play a 4-day game. There's no substitute for 4-day cricket, especially before a test series and especially after a T20 campaign. The timing of it was very challenging. If we had to have played a 4-day game, we would have started on the 19th. You finish on the 22nd. You get together as a team on the 23rd, and then you've got a practice and a half before the first test. So the decision process was new coaching staff. Right now, what the team needs more is to buy into what is going to happen for this team. We need to connect with the new coaching staff, but also the biggest thing that's unfolded is actually the information that you share, and especially where we are as a team, we're very inexperienced in some departments, and the best way to tackle that head on is to deal with, talk to guys that have been there and done it. So the last 2 days has been exceptional in terms of just hearing the conversations that's taking place between, if you're talking in a batting group with Boucher and with Cullis. Unbelievable conversations that hasn't happened for a while, and the reason why it hasn't happened is because we did have experience in our team, so your experienced players just takes care of that. They talk to the young guys, they work with the young guys, but especially in the Indian series there wasn't a lot of experience, and I find definitely post the Indian tour something that was lacking was we needed experience into our dressing room, into the test team. So the last 2 days has been hugely positive for me to see that. Even though we're not getting the time out in the middle, we are getting very specific practices, very specific, Jock Cullis talking to batters about how are you training, what are you looking for, what is a bowler trying to do, how are you putting together your first 20 balls. So those things are absolute gold. So I think that's the best way for young players to grow, and not even young players, even myself. It's been unbelievable just talking to people like that. As their cricket brains are so exceptional, you just feed off it the whole time.
Faf, having such big personalities and big leaders around obviously must help you as a leader, but do you also have to balance that and not shy away too much? Or is this important for you to be the leader of this unit?
For me, I think it's important that you don't have guys with egos. So when you don't have guys with egos, then you can trust just to stand back and let someone do what he wants to do to impose himself in that time or that place, and you're not insecure in your role and you don't feel threatened. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to leadership groups, especially if there's a few names thrown into the mix. I've played a lot of cricket with Jock Cullis. He's got no ego, he's just there to help. You would think with someone that's such an amazing batsman that there would be something, but he's not. He just tries to add value wherever he goes. I think something that's been really good for someone like Mark Boucher has been coaching the last 3 or 4 years at the Titans, seeing what it is like on the other side, because coaching and playing is 2 different roles, and you can see his development from a personality point of view. He understands both now, so he also understands that there's give and take. He'll come in sometimes, then I'll pull away, and vice versa. And I think that only comes when you are mature enough to understand what a leadership group looks like. And I said you're secure in your own position. If you're insecure, then you're going to feel like you need to talk all the time because there's another big voice in the team now. But I don't feel like that at all.
Things have really happened very quickly over this last 2-3 weeks. I mean, 3 weeks ago, would you have imagined you'd be sitting here now talking about Cullis, Boucher, these kind of guys involved or not? Were you say 3 weeks ago in a very bad space or dark hole in a way as to what would have expected of the England tour?
No. You want more, obviously.
No, but were you very much more? Okay, maybe I'm not.
No, I understand your question.
I do.
I was hoping that we would get to this stage, but I didn't expect it.
Okay.
And then when things started unfolding, the way I saw it is that things needed to get real bad before it can get better. So it might sound bad, but it needed to get worse for it to get really better. So I'm happy that process unfolded to where we are today.
Couldn't have got worse than India.
No, well, it did for yeah.
Can you just go through about building up players' confidence, away from playing? Obviously, the confidence took a hit. The
Yes.
record for the test team at the moment isn't a good one with 5 losses in a row. How do
Yes.
you build the confidence up before you get on the field so that it doesn't affect how you play against England next
Yeah. Well, first you start off in your preparation, and I've spoken a lot about that. Just the fact that those guys have been here, working with the batters, especially the batters. That's your first step in your right direction. That's getting confident. You know, guys are working with greats, so they're feeding off that positive energy. They're feeding off that language that they speak. So all of that, you trying to impress your batting coach or your coach because it's your colours. I mean, you can't look like a guy who doesn't play good cricket. You're trying to impress him all the time because he's the world's best batsman that ever lived. So that's already a great step in the right direction. Then you start having the conversations. You start preparing better because there is some guidance for the young guys in how to prepare in the right way. And then through that you get confidence because now all of a sudden you feel like your game is in a better place. You're more confident that it will. But that's only one step. You know, that's only before the game. The real business happens out in the middle, and we know that we as sportsmen get judged on our performances. So only time will tell. But for now, we are doing things very, very good in terms of making sure that we give ourselves the best opportunity to get that confidence back.
There was some concern expressed about the bowling unit in particular because, you know, the guys have been playing 6 weeks of T20 cricket.
Yeah.
For someone like KG, for instance, there was a lot of rain here, so he didn't bowl a heck of a lot anyway. How much of a concern is that for you, and are you happy that him, Vern, Heinrich are getting the workloads in that they need for the first test?
Yeah, it's not a perfect scenario. As I said, same thing with the batting. In a perfect world, leading up to a big test series, you would have liked your bowlers to be test match ready, and that means workloads, as you rightly say. I find all best test bowling units, they bowl at their best when they've bowled a lot of overs. You look at all the great bowlers. Dale was no different, Warner was no different. All of them needed to bowl a lot of overs, and then they were at their best. But we're not in a position where we can have that. You know, the Mzansi was successful for separate reasons, but it gives us a challenge in preparation for a test series. So yes, it's by no means perfect, but we can only work with what we've got. Yesterday was a massive workload day for the bowlers. That's the most we've ever bowled at practice as a test team. So once again, we can only do what we can, and I thought we did it well yesterday.
Will you be batting at 4, and is that your preferred position in Test cricket?
Preferred position in Test cricket for me would be 5, but I think where the Test team is right now, it's going to require for me to bat 4, just to split your experience up a little bit. You know, if we have Hamza at 3 and someone else at 5, especially now with Temba not there, so you don't go inexperience, just to try and balance the batting unit out a little bit. So I think right now that's possibly what's going to happen.
Last 2 questions, guys.
What do you make of England? You know, through the Ashes series, lost down in New Zealand, and there's a lot of concerns about their batting. But what do you make of them? Do you see vulnerabilities there?
I see a very good bowling attack, very experienced. You know, I talk a lot about Test cricket being important to have experience, and they do have in their bowling attack. They do. They've got 2 or 3 bowlers that's played a lot of Test cricket in all different formats or in all different conditions. But yes, their batting is inexperienced. There's 1 or 2 guys that has done well, and if you can keep them quiet in a series like this, I believe if we can get runs on the board this series, then we can challenge them. It's about getting runs on the board.
And what about Jofra Archer, a player you've come up against IPL World Cup? What kind of threat do you think he's going to pose you guys, and has he been spoken about in training ahead of this series?
No, he's a very good bowler. He's proven even the Ashes he bowled some really good spells. For us, it's important to make sure that we don't make him start the series well. You know, it's someone like that builds a lot on confidence. It's his first tour to South Africa. It's Kookaburra Bowl. It's a little bit different than the Dukes. So for me, it's important that we can start well against him. And then, he's obviously a very talented bowler, but I think confidence with guys like that plays a big role. In New Zealand, didn't do as well as in the Ashes. So it's about making sure that you prep well for what he brings. He does bring something different to their attack. Obviously, he can bowl quick at stages, so you've got to prepare for that. And hopefully we can play him well this series.
And does the same go for the captain, Joe Root? Of course, South African cricket captains have been the scourge of the England captains over the years. Graham Smith back, that's the last thing England want. Getting the pressure on a captain who's just seen a series defeat in New Zealand and at the start of the year in the West Indies, that must be something you and the guys have talked about.
Well, that's why we got Graham Smith back. Because we know that he's done that to England captains. I certainly by no means have done that, so we thought we'd bring that experience back for this series.
Vital question. Will you be walking out for the coin toss?
Yes. Yes, I will. I mean, India was a dark place at that stage, and we were just trying anything. And I mean, the toss over here is not as important as it is in the subcontinent. Subcontinent is, you need to win the toss to be in the game. So yeah, I'll be doing all the tosses.
Practice it at home with your wife, flicking the
I wasn't great doing the Mzansi either, but it's not as important, yeah.
Thank you.